Hello students. So today we will start our next topic, which is gradient of a scalar function. So let us consider a function phi associated with every point xyz of space in such a way that phi xyz is a continuous and differentiable function of position. So let us consider a point q in this coordinate system. You have seen we have considered a point q having coordinates x plus dx, y plus dy, and z plus dz. Okay, such that its displacement from the point P whose coordinates are x, y, z is dr, so that this dr vector will become this dx I cap, dy j cap, and dz k cap, where dx, dy, dz represent the changes in x, y, and z along this coordinate axis capital X, Y, and z. Okay, so in this transition from the point P to the point Q, the scalar function undergoes a change. The value of this phi will get changed because we have changed the position from P to Q, and the change in phi will correspond to this displacement and it will depend upon the direction of displacement. Okay, as we have moved from position P to Q, the scalar function will get changed. So but this change will also depends on how much we have displaced, also in which particular direction we have moved. Okay, and depending upon the direction or depending upon the given scalar function, this value, the change in phi may get increase in some direction and may get decrease in other direction. Okay, or also it may get increase rapidly in one direction than the others. Okay, you will get to understand this because phi is a function of x, y, z. For example, now consider this phi is defined as it is x square y z. Okay, our scalar function is like that. Its dependency on x, y, z is like that. This phi function is defined as x square y z. So its dependency on x is square function, y is linear, and z is linear. So the increase in x will be many times than x, y, and z. So this change in different direction will be different depending on how our phi function is defined on the variable x, y, and z. Okay, so the change d phi as we move from point P to Q is given by the first order Taylor approximation, which is this. The change in phi is given by curly phi over curly x dx plus curly phi over curly y dy plus curly phi over curly z dz. Okay, this we have written from the Taylor approximation, but you can understand this like this because as we just discussed, phi is a function of x, y, and z. Okay, so how this phi will get changed? It depends on how much x, y, or z gets changed when we change the position from P to Q. Okay, so this function itself depends on x, y, z coordinates, and also when we move in a certain direction, suppose we move along x direction, then that x coordinate itself gets changed. Okay, so this change will be, if we want to calculate the total change in phi along x only, that will be given by curly phi over curly x. That means change in phi with respect to x into change in x. That will give us the total change in phi along x axis only. Okay, but we want to calculate total change in phi along all direction, then it will become, then these two terms will also come along y axis and along z axis. Okay, so now this change, this equation can be rewritten like this as a scalar product of these two terms, which is, first one is this I cap curly phi over curly x plus j cap curly phi over curly y plus k cap curly phi over curly z, and other is this I cap dx j cap dy k cap dz. Okay, so this above term can be rewritten like the dot product of these two terms. Okay, so the first term on the right hand side is known as the gradient of the scalar field. Okay, so this first term is important to us in this last equation. This first term is important to us. This first term is known as gradient of a scalar function, and what it is given by I cap curly phi over curly x plus j cap curly phi over curly y plus k cap curly phi over curly z. Okay, as we know phi is a scalar function, so we can take out this phi outside this mathematical function. So this equation will become like this. Okay, and now this term, which is I cap curly or curly x plus j cap curly over curly y plus k cap curly over curly z, this is an mathematical operator which is given by this del symbol. Okay, this reverse triangle by an arrow. Okay, arrow because it is a vector operator. Okay, and by reverse triangle. Okay, so we call this reverse triangle as del operator. Okay, and because it is an operator, it do not have any magnitude or direction, or it doesn't have any physical significance unless we applied this operator on a certain function. Okay, like that. So when we operate this function on a scalar function like gradient of phi, okay, then it has some meaning. So our equation, which was change in phi, will be this. This will become gradient of phi dot dr. Okay, the total change in phi will be gradient of phi into dot dr, or gradient of phi scalar product with displacement vector. Okay, so this is how we define gradient of a scalar function. So now we want to discuss the physical significance of a gradient of a scalar field. Okay, so what we have considered a scalar field in which that scalar function is defined at all the points. So consider a scalar field. In a scalar field, suppose we have many points having the same value of function at different positions. Okay, if we join all those points having same value of the scalar function phi in that field, then the surface which we obtained after joining these points is called level surface. Okay, and suppose that surface is given by this. That surface is given by like this, means on this surface, on this line, the phi function will be constant. There will be no change in the value of phi. That is, change in phi will be 0. d phi is 0. And if dr is the displacement on the level surface, suppose we have taken any point like this. Okay, if we move from this position to this position, a dr vector. Okay, in that case, this change in phi will be this gradient of phi dot product with displacement vector. Okay, and when we, this dot product can be further written like this: magnitude of gradient of phi into dr into cos of theta, if theta is the angle between gradient of phi and dr. Okay, then this term can be rewritten like this: d phi by dr will be equal to magnitude of gradient of phi into cos of theta, where magnitude of gradient of phi is the magnitude of gradient of phi and theta is the angle between gradient of phi and dr. Now d phi is the change in phi as we move a distance dr. Okay, so this term d phi by dr will give us the rate of change of phi with distance. Okay, this d phi by dr will give us the rate of change of phi with respect to distance dr, and it depends upon the direction of motion by theta. Okay, because the d phi by dr is equal to magnitude of gradient of phi into cos of theta. So this rate of change of phi with distance r will depend on direction of motion. Okay, and this value will be maximum when theta will be 0 because cos theta is 1. Okay, so from above equation this will become d phi by dr maximum is equal to magnitude of gradient of phi. Okay, so from this equation we can define the magnitude of gradient of phi, okay, at a particular point. So magnitude of gradient of phi at a point is equal to the maximum rate of change of phi at that point. Okay, but as we know, gradient of phi is a vector quantity. It has magnitude as well as direction, so both we need to define. So now we will try to define the direction of gradient of phi. Okay, so let us consider n cap be a unit vector in the direction of displacement vector dr. Okay, in that case this term d phi by dr, which was, if you remember, which was this thing, d phi by dr is this magnitude of gradient of phi into cos of theta. Okay, so this term can be written like this, or this was this thing, d phi over gradient of phi dot product with dr. So dr can be written like this, n cap into magnitude of dr. Okay, so in that case this term will become d phi by, like this. We have defined d phi was gradient of phi dot dr vector. Okay, so this can be written like this. This will be this thing, dr vector will be n cap into dr. Okay, and now this will become d phi by dr gradient of phi dot n cap. Okay, so this is how we have written this equation. Understood? Okay, so now again if this n cap if this n vector and also we know this, we have already discussed the rate of change of phi with respect to r, the maximum value of this is equal to magnitude of gradient of phi. Okay, so the right hand side of the above equation, this one, okay, is the component of gradient of phi in the direction of n cap or dr. This means the value of d phi by dr will depend upon the direction of displacement. Okay, so d phi by dr will be maximum when n cap point along the direction of gradient of phi, because in that case theta will be 0 and cos theta will be 1. Okay, thus the vector gradient of phi has that direction along which the rate of change of phi is maximum. Okay, so the gradient of a function has the direction along which the change of phi is maximum. So now we can define this gradient of a scalar function. Okay, first of all we will always define this function gradient of a scalar function at a particular point. Okay, so first of all it is a vector quantity. Okay, the gradient of a scalar function at any point is a vector quantity whose magnitude is equal to the maximum rate of change of given scalar function. Okay, that is d phi by dr maximum. Okay, and its direction is directed along the direction of maximum rate of change of given scalar function at that point. Okay, so this is how we define gradient of a scalar function. Next we will discuss geometrical interpretation of gradient of phi. Okay, for this again consider a level surface at which phi is equal to c. Okay, means phi is equal to a constant value, and suppose on this level surface if we move a certain distance dr, okay, from point P to point Q, in that case the change in phi will be going from P to Q will be d phi will be 0, because this level surface. At this level surface phi is constant, so d phi will be 0. Okay, so in that case, that means gradient of phi dot dr will be 0. The scalar product of gradient of phi with displacement will be 0. And whenever we have dot product of two vectors is 0, that means both the vectors are perpendicular to each other. That means the gradient of phi is normal to displacement vector. Okay, since dr is displacement from P to Q along this path, along the surface S, then the gradient of phi is normal to the surface S. Okay, as shown in the figure, like this. Dr is in this direction and gradient of phi will be in this direction, and the angle between them is this 90 degree. Okay, so now we come to the important properties of gradient of a scalar field. Okay, these results are very important, which we will going to use many times in our coming classes. Okay, now suppose we have a vector, okay, which is represented by a gradient of a scalar function. Okay, in that case, the first property will be this. Suppose if we have a vector like this, vector A, okay, which will be defined by gradient of a scalar function, because gradient of a scalar function itself is a vector. Okay, so we can write any vector as a function of gradient of a scalar function. Okay, so in that case, if we can write like that, in that case the line integral of that vector, which can be written as gradient of a scalar function, okay, the line integral of this vector between 2 points A and B is independent of the path joining A and B. Okay, if we, for example, we have this vector A, which is written as gradient of phi between the points A and B, and A and B is independent of the. So let us first determine the dot product of A dot dr. Okay, for this path A to B, if we calculate A dot dr, that will be gradient of phi dot dr. Okay, or d phi will be A dot dr. If we integrate this equation from A to B, that will become A dot dr will be d phi. So A to B, so that will become phi within limit A to B. This will become phi b minus phi a. That means the line integral of this vector field, which can be defined as gradient of phi, will be independent of the path joining these 2 points A and B, because it will depend only on the end result, only on the end points A and B. Okay, similarly, if we want to find the line integral of any vector, which can be written as gradient of a scalar function over a closed loop. Okay, that means from A to B, then B to A. So over a closed loop, it will always be 0. Okay, this is a very important properties. And if we have any function which can be written as gradient of phi, okay, then the line integral over the closed path will always be 0. Okay, next we will come to the another important definition, that is laminar field. Okay, a vector field which can be expressed as a gradient of a scalar function is called laminar field. Okay, for example, electric field is an example of such field, as E can be written as electric field can be written as, you must remember, minus dV by dx. Okay, in case of del operator, it is minus del V. That is how we define this electric field, where V is a scalar function, because V is the electric potential and electric potential is a scalar function. Okay, laminar field means that the field can be divided into laminas or layers over which the values of the given scalar function remains constant. Okay, for example, if we want to draw the electric field lines due to a positive charge, then they will be like this. Okay, and if you want to plot the equipotential surface for this field, it will be a circular path. So at this circle, which is known as equipotential surface, okay, the potential function will be constant at each and every point on this circle. So we can actually draw many circles around this, okay. So that means we can we that means we can have a laminar field where we have divided that field into layers, over which the value of a given scalar function remains constant. At different circles we have different constant values, but at a particular circle the value is always constant. Okay, so this is an example of equipotential surface in case of electric field, and such field which satisfy the above set properties are conservative fields. Okay, similarly, if any vector which can be defined by gradient of a scalar function, then its line integral over the closed loop path is always 0. That also means that given field is a conservative field. Okay, the example of these fields are electric field we have just discussed, it is an example of conservative field. Similarly, gravitational fields are also conservative fields. So this is for today. Thank you.